Hey, everybody. Yes, welcome back to the Paid Search Podcast. My name is Jason Rothman. As always, I'm joined by the great Chris Schaefer. Chris, I would ask you how it's going today, but you're in such a good mood.
Hmm.
I was late. I had technical issues on my side. We're very much into the recording time, and we're just kicking this off.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you doing right in the new year to be so calm, so tolerant, so accepting, and so at peace? How are you doing so well?
Well, the weather. Jason, I'm a very shallow guy. The weather is all it takes to just change my mood. You can see in the window
I'm
behind
not
me.
I'm not going
It's
to let you say that.
sunny.
You're a deep layered human, Chris. You're a human. You're not shallow, but what you are, because I am too. We're old. We're old, and as you
Uh,
get older, the weather
the
becomes more and
weather.
more of an impact
Yeah,
on everything. So yeah, weather's good down
it's
in Texas.
it's warm. It's a warm winter, which is great. Texas, doesn't like the cold. We had a quick cold snap. That's done. My pond froze over. I found out my kids were like just playing on the frozen pond a couple weeks ago when
Yeah,
it froze over. And I'm like, uh, okay, y'all didn't fall in. Okay, y'all are y'all are
yeah,
good. I was like, that can crack, but luckily
yeah.
they're very tiny children, so um, they were safe. So
Good,
yeah,
good. Yeah. So you guys had a freeze down there. I did not even
yeah,
know it got that bad. Yeah.
yeah. Froze for it. It was froze for almost a week, the pond at least. So yeah, it's cold stuff. And
So that's all it
Jason,
takes is some nice weather.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah. I
we
was
did
walking around last night, like taking the garbage out in shorts. It was like 60 something degrees.
beautiful.
I was like, it's kind of nice out today.
Yeah, I
But yeah,
was talking about
well, good.
you and the shorts.
Oh, thank you.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Chris, I mean, good start to the year. Happy New Year. Hope things are going well.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good, good. Miss you for a couple
I,
weeks.
cu-
Took a week off of the show, and now we're back. Big episode today with a little title. What's going on? And we will explain that right after this break and this message from
yeah,
Chris.
I want to tell you guys about Optio. Optio is the reason why we are able to do this week after week. If you enjoy this free content, I do ask that you guys please go check out Optio at optio.com/PSP. The reason I tell you is because if you are listening to this podcast and you care enough to spend an hour with two random guys that you might learn a few tips, then you will love the opportunity that you have to try for free. Again, an amazing tool designed specifically for Google Ads. This is a tool for you. This is a tool they have built for Google Ads managers, okay? Doesn't do Facebook. It doesn't do all these other things. It does Google Ads, period. And it will help you optimize your Google Ads campaign to the stars and beyond. This thing is amazing. It helps you with your keywords, your negative keywords, your ad copy, your bidding strategies, your everything. It encompasses these amazing statistics and metrics that you don't see anywhere else. They take these things and they put them all together in a very understandable, whether you're a highly advanced Google Ads user or you're very basic and just getting started. They frame them in basic common English so that you can see what needs to be done. You read through the commentary about why this is suggested, and then you decide, okay, yeah, go ahead, let's make that change. Or, oh, you know what, I'm going to investigate that myself and go make the change myself. No matter what, it is an amazing strategic tool you will like. Guaranteed. Optio.com/PSP.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So, title of today's episode as we get into this new year is what's going on. And we want to leave it kind of an open title, kind of an intriguing title because Chris, um I don't know about you, but for me, Google Ads and the year 2022, it was like it was a big year in history. Like I feel like everything they're doing with both the internet and their assets like maps, it's a big deal.
Hmm.
Display advertising across the internet, it's a big deal. YouTube, it's like a really big deal and such a big deal people don't even get how big a deal it is. They're taking those assets and then the technology has like caught up to those assets and now they're able to
Yeah.
for them monetize them better and for the advertisers give us more opportunities to advertise overall, if that makes sense. Basically, everything they've been trying for years, smart technology, automated bidding, showing up on searches that you may not know the keywords before you actually see those kind of searches, so
Mm-hmm.
you don't even know to target them. Now you can show on those kind of searches. Things are getting looser but better. Am I making sense? Like, it all came together, and actually for the first time for us, for like hardcore managers that want results, it like started working great. Do you agree with that? Did you feel like it was a different year last year than the previous few years?
I agree. I do agree. I feel like a lot of the things that we griped about, a lot of the things back in 2021 that we were really upset about, and we're like, why do they push this? This isn't working. I don't know why this is here. All this kind of stuff, and then it feels like in 2022 something happened, like something connected properly, and suddenly things were working better than they had before, definitely within the previous year, from 2021 to 2022.
But by the way, Chris, it wasn't just 2021. I mean, we suffered out there in the
Yes.
desert from like,
Yes.
I would say maybe 2018. Like, we started the show,
Yeah.
good Lord, 2016, I
Yeah.
think.
I think it was a long time ago. Yeah.
I think it was 2016.
Yeah.
We started, let's call it 2016.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
And I think for like the first year or two, I mean, it was pretty formulaic, pretty simple. Like, these are your
Skag.
keywords, these are phrase and exact, these are the kind of search terms you'll get. You'll show up on all the search terms,
Yeah.
manual bids. Oh my God, we actually did it. Single keyword ad
Yes.
groups.
Yeah.
It
We
was
were
we
into
were
that.
doing it, and it was working. Yeah, it was totally different. And then I feel like 2018, we got punched in the face,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and then 2019 though, we got punched in the face.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
hold on, 2020
2020
got punched in the face
by someone else. Someone
by
else
something
punched.
else. Yeah, 2021. Oh my God, I got punched in the face and
Yep.
punched somewhere else.
Yep.
I was
Double.
just it almost I was almost done.
Yep.
It was a
Yep.
rough year. We bounced back, and as the time we bounced back, the system 2022 it all came to, so it wasn't just 2021 when we were dealing with this like automated stuff, lack of control, changes.
Yeah. It feels like 2021, like suddenly instead of getting punched in the face, it felt maybe like a slap on the back, you know?
Yeah.
It was kind of like, oh, suddenly what you're, these tools you have here are suddenly working for me, and that felt great. And there were some,
Oh, pretty good. Yeah.
there was a couple things I want to bring up, not right now, but in particular about what suddenly was working. What we suddenly have, a couple things that come to mind, that we had in 2022, that suddenly just came out of nowhere and suddenly started working in ways that we hadn't expected before. I feel like there was a lot of that.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a lessons learned episode as well. So I'm gonna kind of make a note here of the time, Chris. But um, the first one I would say is the biggest lesson to me. It's a lesson I already knew, but like now that we're kind of getting that tailwind of the technology working with us. Don't fight the system was just reiterated to me. So, like, what I mean by that is like, if phrase match becomes looser, don't stop running on phrase match. Figure out a way to work with it.
Right.
If they add, like, I'll give you a perfect example. If they add two new assets, which like they just added recently, like they used to call. By the way, if they used to call them extensions and now they call them assets, call them assets. Don't fight the system. Go with the flow.
I guess.
Assets, Chris. Don't fight the system.
Okay.
Let me hear you say it, nice and slow.
I'm not going to say that word slow. We want to still be a family friendly.
So they've recently added business name and business logo, and they're only showing up on mobile. And they're not every account has access to these, but it's like now on mobile you can show a little icon that has your logo.
Yep.
And a little icon, or not an icon, but right next to that it can show your business name.
Yep.
Great. I added those in. Like, don't fight the system. Like, go with what they want. Why, Chris, do you believe like if they add something like an asset like business name, business logo, and you do use it, that you will see a benefit beyond just like the search users liking that? You'll see a benefit of like some kind of ad rank boost, some kind of quality score boost, getting your ad to show more. Do you kind of think that way when they add something new in there and then you use it? Do you think they're when you do that, do you think you're kind of rewarded by the system?
Yes, I do. I do. I feel like there are some things that can be very rewarding to add, but sometimes I feel like some other things are being pushed, and it feels more like a punch in the face on other things.
Still, okay.
Yeah, for example, I feel like like the whole what's going on idea. One thing I could bring up is the recommendation system. You know, sometimes I feel like those punch me in the face. The optimization score, things like that.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
seems like uh, for some accounts, I can ride right there at a 90% optimization score, and I like the recommendations. Other ones, if I applied those recommendations, it would be absolutely destructive to the campaign. I mean, it would destroy the campaign. And it feels like, why are these coming through? Looking at those recommendations, where are they coming from? Why are those important? What's the optimization score, have to do with this? And, exploring that and understanding that was something I definitely did in this past year was, understanding the optimization score, because, now optimization score counts. If you're a Google partner, for you and I,
Mm.
we each have to maintain our optimization score levels in order to maintain our partnership. So have to understand that. And sometimes those recommendations feels like a punch in the face, and sometimes it's like, oh, that's a good idea. Thanks. It's
Yeah, recommendations are a tough one because something might work for 80% of roofing accounts, like adding this general keyword like roofer or something like that, but it may not work for your advertiser with their landing page and
right.
what they're wanting to do with their cost per lead.
Yeah.
So sometimes those are tough. But another one more example of like don't fight the system, not single keyword ad groups, Chris, but in the last couple years, there's still been plenty of times where you have similar ad groups, like
Mm.
maybe like office movers might be in a different ad group than commercial movers, and you'll try to get the office moving searches to show with that ad group, and you'll add ad group negative keywords.
Okay.
And that's not a good example because there's only two words like office and commercial. It's not too complicated, but there are some industries where like people can search for the same meaning, this basically the same thing in their own kind of search user mind,
Hmm.
like 10 different ways. And instead of having like I'll give you an example. If for an industry you have the word like company, whatever the industry is plus the word company, and then another version of it like whatever the industry is plus the word provider. And then you may have like 10 different examples of those in an industry where it's like
Hmm.
someone's doing a search for a business, but they can search it different ways. And I've had clients that want to use like different landing pages depending on what that very special word is, even
Yeah.
though it just means a business. And then we try to do the 2018 through 2021 thing of like adding ad group negative keywords to force the right ad group to show the ad. So the ad matches the search, matches the landing page. And what I've decided is like I'm no longer fighting the system. And if the system wants to show whatever industry plus the word provider on the keyword, whatever industry it is, plus the word company, even if the provider keyword is in the campaign somewhere, they want to show the provider search on the company keyword, let it happen. Like
Yeah.
that for whatever reason, they think that one has higher ad rank and they're showing it. And I'm not going to force it just so it feels nice to me, landing page ad copy. I'm just going to let it show on what it wants to,
Yeah.
keeping things more open at the start. But yeah, what do you think
That's
of
a
that? Like not forcing the ad groups anymore.
I I I think you're right there. I didn't follow you at first, but now absolutely I completely understand what you're saying. So an example for me is I absolutely have backed off telling Google this is where these keywords get clicks from, right? This is the very
And this
narrow
is the landing
channel,
page they go to.
and this is the
Yeah.
landing page they go to. I do not want anything that is not ABC to show up anywhere else. I
Yeah.
only want ABC to show up in this ad group.
Even though
And
you, Google, are taking these other exact match keywords that don't have ABC but have the same meaning, and you're showing the ABC search to
right.
those other even exact match keywords that don't
Yeah.
have ABC.
Yeah. And I absolutely have backed off of that. I mean that's a good point. A good example is how much do I use ad group negatives? Almost never. is when I use ad group negatives. Honestly, I use campaign negatives all the time. That's my standard. But ad group negatives, no, because that's it. And you say why? The reason I don't use ad group negatives is because I no longer consider my ad groups to be very super tight focus funnels that only produce a explicit type of traffic. It can be a wide diversity of traffic. And if Google likes this search and provides a better quality score on this search term compared to another one, then okay, that's fine. I'm not going to nitpick and say, no, it has to go here. It has to go here. That's something I absolutely have back.
Yeah, don't fight the system, because there are advertisers still fighting the system. And I've run into situations where an advertiser has spent a ton of money building out a very detailed website where the ABC search term you're talking about matches a very particular page on their site. And they're like, well, I want ABC traffic to go to the ABC page because that is a better fit for the ABC search. Like, it matches exactly. How could it not be a better fit? And what we run into is like, yeah, maybe like our surface level thinking, like ABC search, ABC page. Yeah, it makes sense better than the ABCDE page.
Yeah.
But Google's giving the keyword that goes to in the ad group that goes to the ABCDE page a much better quality score, much higher ad rank. We can fight the system if you want to. Like, we can add all these ad group negatives and force it to do it. But I've stopped doing that, like you're saying, Chris, because number one, even if ABC goes to the ABCDE page, ABC is still on that page. And the human can figure that out and go, oh, yeah, I was looking for a company in this industry. They're a company in this industry. It's working.
Yeah.
But so it still works for the human. But for whatever reason, the machine really, really wants that. And the machine really matters now. Like, getting that ad rank up, and I don't even think in the terms of ad rank, Chris. I think in the terms of getting my freaking ad to show a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because that's what ad rank does.
Yeah.
And getting my impressions up so that I can get clicks up. If you get clicks up, you get leads up. If you get leads up, the advertiser makes money.
Yeah.
And I feel like going with the flow and not fighting it, and whatever they want to give a high ad rank, letting it kind of rise to the top and get the majority of your clicks in your account, as long as the page they go to makes sense and it's like still the kind of business the person was looking for, let the system do what it wants so you can get that ad rank, which means you get your ad shown more, which means you get more business. Don't fight the system. Now, Chris, you're very smart. I'm very smart. We've been doing this for a long time. Honestly, I'm very impressed at the way, I'll say you, because I'm not going to say I'm impressed with myself. It just sounds not humble, but honestly, I think it's a great compliment to you and maybe to myself, like how quickly we pivoted after getting punched in the face for 4 years and fighting the system.
That's all we talked about.
We saw what was going on, and I feel like it's a very good compliment, like how quickly we've pivoted and gone into some of the things we'll talk about, bidding changes, other things. But my point is, not everybody has done that, and there's still a lot of advertisers, like business owners, that are still trying to control what shouldn't be controlled anymore. Have you seen that maybe with some clients you don't work with anymore, like from like maybe sometime in the 12 months? Like, I've lost a couple in the last 12 months where they just wanted me to do things a certain way.
Yep.
And because we did that and they wouldn't let me kind of do this free flow thing, their results weren't as good as they wanted, and it didn't work out.
I'll tell you, I have a couple of different stories to share on something like that, because I think a lot of those things stem not from Google Ads, but they stem from their business. If a business starts to turn down, it starts to
stress,
see less leads, and suddenly the books are starting to turn red instead of black. What happens is they start to pressure Google Ads to provide more specific things. I had a client that had been with me for, I don't know, gosh, they've been with me for 10 years or something, a long time, really long time. And this past year, business had turned down for them and it was not going very well. And what'd they do? They exuded more control on Google Ads. They shut down 95% of their ad groups and started running, these super finite, tiny little ad groups with only exact match. And they're doing lots and lots of like very precise negatives. And what happens? What happens with that? You end up getting just a whole lot of junk traffic, because when you start targeting these micro niches with these exact match keywords, Google's going to be like, oh, Great, we'll get you that. Obviously, that's what you want, and
Hey,
we'll
hey,
get you
Chris.
that and only that.
Or we won't because, hey, you're trying to target low search volume keywords.
Yep.
And guess what? Your status is hit with low search volume. And we're not even going to show you on
Not
those
even,
searches. The sick thing is, Chris, people who are targeting more open keywords, more high volume keywords that have figured out how to make those cost per conversions work for them,
yeah.
they do get to show on the low search volume searches because they're targeting the core part of that search that allows them to show up. And the people who are trying to kind of do too much control, sometimes they can't even show on the searches they want because those are the, you know what I mean with the status
Yeah.
thing there.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like, Google, the Google ad system, let's say that if we personify it, we say the Google ad system has suddenly pulled up their pants, hiked up their pants, whatever, you want to say, and say like, you're not going to push me around anymore. Now my AI buddies behind me, they know what they're doing. And
Yeah.
if you don't let them work in the way they want to work, we're not going to work the way
We're
that you
moving
want to
on.
work.
We're moving on. We're moving.
Yeah.
We're working with the other X amount of advertisers in your town, in your industry,
Yeah.
who are playing ball and allowing everything to grow. Google's revenue to grow, them to get more leads, customers to find better quality businesses. Like, it's time to move here.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's you're right. I mean, it's either
Don't fight it.
evolve or die. And I absolutely have seen entire campaigns that have totally changed in the way that I was managing them before, and other accounts that say, no, what we need is more control. We need to only get this. It only needs to be people who are looking for ABC plus DEE.
I think I cried. I cried, Chris, one time. I cried.
Oh.
In like 2018, 2019, early 2020 or something like that. I remember sitting on like a lazy boy in my house on my laptop.
Should you be sharing this? Or?
No, I cried. It's okay. You can cry, Chris.
You can.
Yeah.
I had my tear ducts.
I asked you if you've ever cried. You
Sealed.
told me about 2 specific times. Yeah.
I did not. No, I didn't. No way.
Oh, you did? Wow. Okay.
Okay.
I remember crying, and the whole thing was like I was trying to get help. Well, I was trying to figure out something, and it's just things were different than the way they had ever been done before with Google Ads, and it didn't make sense to me. And it was a lot of like, here's what the problem was for those years. I could do what I knew worked and what worked for my advertisers.
Yeah.
But then when I started doing that, or we lost the ability to do that with some features in Google Ads, like search terms or different things changed, I wouldn't accept doing the new style of doing things because it wasn't working that well for those years. And I was in this tough place. And I think a lot of us were, where it's like, I can't do what worked out so well for me for like my work and my income and all that, and also worked out well for my clients. I can't do that anymore. And what you're wanting me to do isn't working. So this is what I've chosen to do with my career, where like I don't even have this control. And I cried once, but now, like, even the interface is more set up for these kind of features, and it's all come together. I guess that's the point of 22. It's all come together.
It's a great place to be. It compared to where we were, where it was like, okay, here's your new system, and you're like, this system doesn't work.
And like, no, we changed the name of it. You don't even know what the name of it is, what you're doing. It was like, it was rough, dude.
It was a rough time. Yeah.
So let's move on to kind of a second kind of high level, really impactful thing for 2022, at least for me, and I'll ask for you. But when I think about 2022, and I think about, like, I say the word Google Ads, and then I go, what's top of mind? Bidding.
Yeah.
Does that feel right? Like, does that feel like that was one of the biggest changes you made in 2022? Like, you started doing different bidding strategies for the first time in a while, or you changed up, or you experimented with different bidding strategies? Or here's one. Things are either going good in the campaign and I want to make them better, or they're not going good and I want to make them better. Either way, I want to make them better.
Yeah.
What's one of the biggest things I can try? I can try to change my bids and see if that works. Maybe not a thought we had over the previous years. That's a thought I have now, always top of mind. Like, should I try a different bidding strategy? How's that feeling? Is that connecting with you?
Yeah, I've got a good story for you, Jason. That is absolutely a 2022 kind of story. Definitely not a 2018, a 2019 story. So I'm getting about $300 $400 cost per conversion for a client. Okay.
Okay.
And it's a high dollar kind of acquisition, and I'm like, okay, great, this is good. The search terms look good. They're getting leads, not a whole lot. They're expensive CPCs, and they're getting leads, but they're expensive.
Okay.
The client then tells me, hey, we were hoping for like $25 to $50 cost per conversion. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
really? So, all right. So you know what I did? 2018, Chris, was okay. I'm gonna lock this down. I'm about to get the best quality, most highly converting traffic there is, and I'm gonna make this complex system that will push just the best traffic. No, 2022, Chris jumps in and I throw in broad keywords. I change this thing to max conversions with, actually, I think I even set it to a target CPA of like $50, and put it all together the way that I liked. Had negative keywords. The kind of restrictions that I at least am comfortable with. I use smart strategies. This wasn't just a bunch of junk, but I use my automated bidding strategies that I know and use, and I was able to take that thing in like a week from $300 to $400 cost per conversion down to a $50 cost per conversion. Now, granted, the quality of leads were different. You can't get the same quality of leads, but they wanted volume. They wanted volume. And I did it. And the difference was in how I accomplished it. Old Chris, 2018 Chris, would have looked at that and said, buckle down, let's go super tight, super focused. 2022 basically looks at and says, you know what? I don't think I have the tools to know exactly what's going to bring in the volume for them. So I'm going to lean heavily on the AI. Not something I would have done before.
Now, the keywords that you were targeting when it was working at the lower cost per conversion and target CPA versus the keywords that you were targeting before, did you change the keywords, or was it the same kind of keywords?
No, they were completely different. Completely different. I basically retooled the entire thing with new keywords. As you know,
Now, what were those keywords? Were they just like more open, like phrase match, shorter words, shorter
broad.
phrases?
They were broad.
Wow.
3 to 4 word broad match searches.
So that's one of the biggest changes I've made in 2022 is when things are not working, instead of going inward and making things tighter and trying to force results, I go outward and I go, let me leave things open. Let me go more open. Now, the thing is, I'm still evolving that skill set because it's so different than what I've done in the past.
Yes.
And there's been multiple times, even in the last few months, where I'm retooling an account. Maybe it's like a month after the build, and the build strategy I used didn't go well, and now we're trying to adjust. I've done so much work where like I still like don't think for a second. I go back to the old habit of like making things tighter, more controlled. I do a bunch of work, make a very detailed campaign, and then I go, like after 2 hours of work, I'm like, oh, darn it, I don't want to run this. Like I know this isn't going to work now. Like these search terms are going to come in. They're not going to fit in any of these ad groups. And
or you turn it on and you realize in the first couple days, like, this isn't going to work.
No, we're not going to get traffic with this.
I can't spend the budget. I can't get the traffic. Like, oh crap, I got to completely reverse and go out. And I think that's well said. Going outward instead of inward.
Outward and more open. Yeah.
That is absolutely true.
I mean, you can't go wrong. Like say you're in a roofing campaign and it's not working, whatever you were trying, like throw on broad match.
Yeah.
Put the word roofing company in there. Put the word roofing companies in Atlanta.
Yeah.
See what happens. It's not going to be pretty for the first couple of weeks. Like
you're at least
you're going to find gems. Yeah, you're going to find gems. You're going to figure it out from there.
I'll tell you, if I'm trying to get to a destination, the worst thing I can do is take baby steps when I have 400 miles to go. At least if I'm using broad, it's going to move me. It may move me northeast, and I need to go northwest. So at least I'm moving north. At least I'm moving some direction, and I can kind of change course a little bit. But the idea there is that at least broad keywords can move me. Whereas if I'm not getting anything from a super tight campaign, I'm going to crash and burn.
Now, how do you feel about? So you run some very loose phrase match keywords. You run some max click bidding, target CPA bidding. You run broad keywords. You get a bunch of search terms. You get a bunch of data. How do you feel about making things tighter from there, growing different versions of the campaign from there based on the data you see? Is that still a tool set of the Google Ads Manager as we get into 2023? For me, Chris, it is. Like, for me, even though I don't know, I kind of feel like tighter enforcing things doesn't work until you know what works, if
Yeah.
you will. And I still kind of believe in, like, okay, if I see a search term, I know there's things like the person doing the search and Google knowing about where they are in their buying process and all that, but there is still some aspect of,
Yeah.
like, someone does a search term that's exactly what the business offers, and that search term, I don't care who's doing it, if they're searching that, they're going to convert at like 15 to 20, 25%. Let's max that out. Let's run a huge bid on that with manual bids. Do you still feel, or, oh wow, we saw this other search term that's weird is working, let's throw that in a different themed campaign or ad group? Do you still feel like there's a place to evolve a account after an open campaign?
That is a great question. And yes, I do.
Because I do too. I mean, like, I've seen good results from that still.
Yeah. I mean,
Once you know what's working.
but that's the thing. You start with a very wide shot, a very wide range, and it will be obvious where the extremes are. There's always extremes. There's always
Yeah.
trends. And it might start small. It might start with just, okay, I know I don't want things that include the phrase how to. Okay. You've
Yeah.
shaved off a little bit of the extreme. This is absolutely an ongoing process. Even if you have very broad tactics, you can still make strategic changes to the quality of your traffic just by looking at your search terms, just looking at certain trends of time of day, device,
Mm-hmm.
location, that kind of stuff. Little small changes here and there. Absolutely. It will always be something that is needed.
Now, but before we take a break here, let's talk about what we were going to talk about a few minutes ago, bidding. Bidding for me has changed a lot in 2022.
Hmm.
Chris, before 2022, I was pretty much like manual bids. That's pretty much how I
Yep.
did things. I still do a lot of manual bidding. Like, I don't want to give the wrong impression here. Like, it's still a big part of my
Yeah.
bidding work, but I've added two other styles of bidding that I do a lot. Maximize clicks and maximize conversions. And those have a big role in my bidding work. What kind are you more open than manual these days? And if so, what strategies are kind of in your mix on a routine basis?
So first of all, I'm absolutely with you. Manual is my very first primary tool that I use. I can't say that I ever start an account in anything other than manual. Manual is always the first place I go. So I want to be clear on that. So I haven't changed on that. But the first things that I go to, other things that have become more primary, they used to be like tools that were just still in the box. I don't even put them on the workbench, Now I definitely have some that are on the workbench and a couple that are even in my tool belt. For example, if I know I'm going after volume and I don't necessarily have a high probability of getting high conversions, lots of conversions, it's a local, let's say it's a local restaurant, and nobody's going to be calling. They're just going to be showing up at a restaurant. That kind of tactic would
Right.
work really well with max clicks, great. I'm not going to run max conversions with that. Max clicks absolutely would be a good thing for that. Another thing that I'm much more likely to do nowadays is I'm more likely to run a conversion based automated bidding. Might be max conversions, might be target CPA, might be target ROAS. I don't know. But basically, that was never in my repertoire several years ago. It is now. It's absolutely something that I do. I use an experiment, and that's absolutely a tool that is readily in my tool belt, much more so than it was before.
Yeah, and I think for me, basically it's like you have your manual bids, you have your maximize clicks, and then some kind of conversion based bidding.
Yeah.
As far as those two other ones go, I think maximize clicks, I use that when I don't have my footing, when I don't know where I'm at. I'll give you an example.
Mm.
Launched a moving company about a month ago, did everything right, double checked my settings, ad approval, all that. Like no impressions, like none. And I was with manual bids. I've done tons and tons of moving campaigns. I was bidding what I thought was aggressive. Inflation, different
Mm.
parts of the country. This is a very expensive part of the country, like maybe like one of the most expensive parts of the country. And I was shocked when I turned on maximize clicks what the actual real um, bid need to be, and it was like double what I thought an aggressive bid was in
Wow.
that industry. And I would not have even thought that, but like after like 2 weeks, we finally got some impressions, and our absolute top percentage was like 7 or 10%, and we were like barely showing up. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm like severely underbidding. You turn on maximize clicks, it tells you where you need to be. So I
Yeah.
like when I don't have my footing using that, and then the conversion based bidding when I'm not getting the cost per conversion I want with manual. I always try conversion based bidding now, and a good portion of the time, maybe a majority of the time, it works now. Why does it work on the same keywords, on the same searches, with the same ads, everything the same, even the same bids I'm doing manual? I have no idea, but it's working a lot better now.
If I knew that, I'd be a lot richer.
We'd be on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be on the inside,
I'd have a Google contract.
Yeah, we'd be some well kept men, just
Yeah.
I want to, I want to be
People
on the
don't. Yeah.
inside, Chris. We're on the outside. They think we're on the inside. We're on the outside,
We're
like
on the
everyone
outside.
else. Yeah, we're on
We
the
still,
outside.
we
Why,
still
why
make
does
it.
it work?
I
But
don't know.
there's some very like maybe even high level people at Google who
That,
would you go, why does that work? I mean, who knows? Like who is on the
yeah.
inside? But
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: whatever they're doing, it's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. But they've got some good tools these days, and I
Yeah.
think those good tools are showing up in the conversion bidding. Now, I have a few things to say about conversions, Chris. We're going to get to that after this
Okay.
break.
Let's
We're
do it.
gonna take a little slow dance. We're
Okay.
older guys, as we talked about
Mm.
the show. Can take a little slow dance, and then we will be back right after this.
Did you guys hear about the complete toolkit for Google Ads managers? It is now available and exclusively from optio.com. You can try this complete toolkit for Google Ads managers where Optio continuously monitors your Google Ads accounts for statistically significant patterns. When something comes up, Optio suggests an improvement that can be pushed live to Google Ads in just a few seconds. It's an amazing tool. And if you haven't tried it, we have an amazing opportunity for you. You can try it for free for 8 weeks, for 2 months. It's first of the year. Hey, 2023, new me, new tools. Try it, optio.com/PSP.
Okay, Chris. So before the break, we were talking about conversion-based bidding a little bit, and now I just wanted to talk about conversions. 2022. I mean, the thought I have, Chris, that I've been thinking about a lot over the last year. Conversions are really important because even if you're not doing a conversion based bidding, I I still think there's so much machine stuff going on in the accounts these days.
Hmm.
The searches your keywords show on, even if they're exact or phrase match, the people they show to, when they show to them, I just feel like getting data back is
Hmm.
so important these days because as we've lost data in terms of the search terms report being kind of shrunk down, and then as like our ability to understand or anticipate data goes down because the kind of searches you can show up on are so sometimes different these days.
Yeah.
But then you're like, well, Google may be showing me on that where someone seems to be really high in the funnel, but it's converting well. If you don't have those conversions to kind of guide you, I would feel a little bit lost sometimes with the system these days. So as things have gotten more complex and powerful, I feel like conversions have correspondingly gotten more important How do you
Yeah.
feel about that?
I absolutely agree. That I mean, if we don't have one spectrum of the data ecosystem, which is search terms, right? We've lost, there's been some of that's been shaved off. We just lost it. Some search term data is just gone. And, 2023, we basically had to just cope with the fact that it's not coming back. That looks like to be the case. So now, what's the other option? Well, as advertisers, we have the ability to get more conversion data. We can have secondary conversion, softer conversions in
Yeah.
there that we can gather and we can track those. Pushing for better landing pages so we can get a higher conversion rate and get that data. I mean, that's the missing piece that makes all the difference in an account. Because, I mean, one thing that was introduced last year is Performance Max. And Jason, what is the one thing you can't exclude and be able to do a Performance Max campaign?
Conversions.
That's it. If you don't have conversions, you can't even run
You
Performance
can't
Max.
get in the club.
Yeah, you're not in.
Yeah, it's a good
Doors
club.
closed.
Oftentimes, it's a very good club. It's a very powerful club. Um, it's very powerful, but you can't get the car started unless you have the key, and the key is conversions.
Conversions,
And I've run into that with an advertiser in 2022, Chris. Like they just would not play ball on making their landing page and their website conversion friendly because it didn't go with their aesthetic. They were like, well, we don't want to put the phone number on the homepage because we need a very qualified, a very high-end customer to dig through our site and then call us. We don't want to be like these other guys blasting people with the phone number looking like a salesman.
We're like, if you were to contact us, you got to look.
We want them to see our work before they even think about calling because we want them to be so convinced. And I'm like, I get it. Like, that's cool. Okay. You're differentiating yourself, but you're not playing ball with this particular system.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's just so, it's kind of like Google's machine is like, okay, all you guys did for years and years and years was complain that you want leads, you want conversions, and you want these smart strategies to get you conversions. Okay, we figured it out. We know how to get you a bunch of conversions now. And then you don't feed it the conversions to work with. You're kind of not playing ball. And you're like, I don't know, the machine, it's so powerful. They can find people who are on search terms you wouldn't really want. Like if you're a carpet cleaning company, someone might do a search like wine spill on my carpet. And the machine now knows which people doing that search actually are the kind of people that want to hire a business as opposed to searching DIY, even though it's open to interpretation just from the search itself. Now they know they can bid the right bid on that to the right person if you have the conversions to feed it. Another thing this brings up, Chris, the age of an account, like long-term accounts, gathering data over and over and over and constantly running, that becomes more and more important as conversion based information becomes more important. Don't try. I mean, if you want to give yourself the best chance with Google Ads, take time to invest in your conversion tracking.
That tip shouldn't even have to be a tip. Like, it shouldn't be as revolutionary to some people as it is.
You say that now in 2022 as a good-looking, strong, muscular guy, but the good-looking, strong, muscular, a little more muscular guy you were back in 2018 was on this podcast going, oh, I don't even need conversion tracking. I can just look at my search terms and I'll do a great job. Do you remember those guys?
I don't remember.
That was us. Yeah, that was us. Yeah. Back then. Yeah.
Well,
because you could, because we didn't have the power to go, oh, I should target wine spill on my carpet. I should target that. Now you can. But don't you remember the days where you just targeted carpet cleaning company, carpet cleaners near me, and it worked even if you didn't have conversion tracking because the search terms were so strong. Right. But now it's like we can move you up in the funnel for the right people.
Yeah.
Hey, one more thing of going with the flow and not fighting the system. Conversion attribution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Last click,
data driven
versus last click. I always wanted to like force it to go. No, I don't want data driven. I want last
Yeah.
click.
I don't know what that is.
I've succumbed to that, and I go,
Yeah.
just take me,
Just
data driven, take me, and I let it do it now, and I kind of have because the confidence is there, the trust is there, the
yeah.
mutual respect is there with the machine. I sound like a crazy person if this
Yeah,
is
that
taken out of
does.
context. I
Yeah.
talk to the machine talks to me, the
Yeah.
machine
Okay.
trusts me, I trust the
Okay.
machine. There's mutual respect there.
Yeah.
But
You got
now
the
I feel confident going with data driven. How about you with your attributes? Something you even think about, or you leave it
Yeah,
on
I
data
mean,
driven now?
I agree. I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I don't spend my late
Are
nights.
you a last click kind of guy?
I don't go back and undo the data driven optimization auto apply
2018 to 2021, Chris, it was a really tough
last
time to
click.
be to be a great Google Ads manager. Like
Yeah.
I was going back in there, I was going, I don't trust it. I want last click because I
Yeah.
want to know fully what got the conversion. Now I'm like, dude, if you guys are saying someone saw an ad, they just saw it, but then like later in the funnel, they converted on a different keyword. Yeah, give the first keyword that they saw an ad on a little bit of the credit for the conversion if you want to. Like I trust you. Like there's love there. Like I'm like mouth kissing that
Well,
machine, you
it's
know?
it I the reason we don't care as much, Jason, is because we're not as controlling with our accounts as we used to be. The reason I was like, screw you, I'm not going with some kind of thing that takes my conversion and statistically spreads them across the different clicks. No way. I want to see what the last click was, is because I am a bottom funnel last of the
I'm in full control.
I'm in full control. Now, sure. I think the reason I'm like, I'll let data driven be
Dude,
my
Chris,
attribution is because I don't have that control
what
anymore.
are airplane pilots doing with all the technology now? Like, I'm glad they don't have an airplane pilot podcast because they might be like, yeah, sometimes I see a building and I'm like, the machine's going to take care of it. Like I
Yeah.
could manually like move the plane to the
I'm
left,
yeah,
but,
but
but I know the machine does it the optimal time. So I'm going
I
to let it
think
do it.
I think they're playing Candy Crush or
Yeah.
something like that.
I mean, Chris, are we exaggerating here? Like, is this really the role of a Google Ads manager? Don't you feel like day to day you're actually making more decisions, feeling more in control than we're sounding now? But I kind of feel like it's a blend. It's like having both strategies because sometimes
There's
there's more control needed, and sometimes there's like, I have no idea why this is working. I'm going to keep doing the smart thing I figured out to let it do whatever setting it is and let it do. Do you feel like it's a balance?
yeah, Jason, my super fancy, amazing truck has a fancy computer in it.
Mm-hmm.
But do you see me going in and looking at that computer and asking that computer, like, what do I do now? How do I fix this? No, I
Yeah.
still go to an expert and have him look at that fancy
Yeah,
computer
but
and read the settings.
you still know where you're going. You know
Yeah.
why you got in the car, what the goal of the trip is, where you want to go, how to get there. Now
Yeah.
the whole thing was like Waze, it's like, well, I thought I could go on this main road, but Waze is saying actually right now at this time, take these side roads and we'll get you there faster. That's kind of a good metaphor to Google Ads. It's like we all want to go, we know where we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes what we think is the way to get there, and then other cases sometimes, and it's like a sometimes thing. Sometimes the other way of doing things, the more automated, the more kind of open to the machine way,
Yep.
is a way to do it, Chris. Really enjoyed this episode, Chris. Really enjoyed talking with you today. I think this is the best episode of the year. You've
Hands
never
down.
looked better this year, and
Thank you.
it's great,
That's true.
great start to the year here.
That's true.
2023. What a year, Chris.
What a year. What a year. Well, thank you guys for being here. And Jason, if people want to reach out to thee in 2023, what do they do?
Yeah, I'm at rothmanppc.com, doing Google Ads, and Chris, you're at chrisschaefer.com.
Yes.
We'll have links in the description.
Click those.
And hey, by the way, thanks for supporting the podcast. We don't even remember when we started.
Nope.
We don't know when we're ending. We're just going to keep going and going. I mean, there's like a significant chance on the table now. We just go to the end and we're like 70, 80 years old.
Yeah.
And like maybe we retired for 20 years at that point.
We're still
talking at like 85 years old and like keeping up with the trends with Google search, keeping up with the trends. Maybe we'll do that.
When I had Google ad accounts.
I mean, the podcast episodes at that rate, if we talk like that, if we're that slow, if it takes us that long to think and communicate, they might be like 5 hours long. And people may be like, guys, 5 hours is a big chunk of the rest of your life at this point, but you're doing this.
Yeah.
We might still be doing it.
Dedicated.
Is Zoom going to be the thing, or is it going to be VR? Who knows?
I
But
don't know. It'd be nice if I could have like a hologram and we could sit in the same room holographically. That'd be fun.
yeah, who knows where things will go, but we'll be there. You guys will be there. We're on YouTube as well. Thanks for supporting us. We will be back next week. Thanks.